Hey everybody, I believe I'm live, but I'm going to wait for everything to kick in on screen. Okay, here I am. All right, I guess we'll start by doing an unboxing. Shaky cam warning. So, the box on this, you know, I'm always one of those people where I don't care if this came in a plastic bag. As long as it was, protected in shipping and the product inside is fine, great. But if the time is ever taken to make really cool packaging, I want to call that out. So I would never, lack of packaging is never a negative to me, provided it ships safe, but extra cool packaging, I love it. This feels legit. Over 70 homebrew games preloaded. Are you ready to FPGA? I like it. I mean, this feels legit. See, little attention to detail. I like it. Not necessary, but always got to call it out in a good way when I see it. Okay. So I just realized my phone is not on silent. You know what? I'm going to have to leave that on because I just realized I'm supposed to get a shipment an hour ago that never showed up. The delivery services in my area are not bad, they're just never punctual. So I apologize if you hear random beeping in the background from my phone. I'm muted as soon as the delivery shows. Oh, I opened it backwards. Sorry, everybody. So we'll just pretend that slid out like this. So absolutely well packed. That's for sure. Well packed both like safely and this is cool ass packaging. We'll take a look at everything else in a minute, but let's take a look at this. I love the color. I don't know if it's going to go with the rest of the stuff I have in my setup, but I still really like it. There is the expansion port for the upcoming dock, I believe. I left a link in the description to the CD-ROM dock thing if you're interested. That's going to be a couple months away, though. But that's cool. It feels very retro console. USB in front with a micro SD in front. Actually, I'm going to just pause here for a moment. This is a 64 gigabyte micro SD. I'm going to put this in my computer and back it up as I'm continuing to do this unboxing, just so I could always put this back to stock. This is not mine. This is a friend of mine was kind enough to send me this and let me review it. And I'll check the chat while I'm up here too. I just typed Super Satan as a directory, not SuperStation. I go listen to some old school metal now. Okay, I got that copying over. It's going to take a couple minutes, so I'm glad I did that first. Dr. Claw, what's going on? FPGA Gaming, hello. Reinhardt, it does. I'll get to that. Retro Jeff, yeah, I think one of these things, I think CD-ROM with these things are one of the, that's like the type of scenario in which if you don't need it, and you don't even really care about it, but you end up getting one, you'll probably use it. Hey, Dave. I mean, I've been listening to metal I've been listening to metal so long that I remember being a kid and somebody else's mom told my mother that to watch out because I must be like a Satanist or a murderer if I wanted to listen to that kind of music. And my mom was like very prim and proper and very polite, never swore. And she said whatever non-swearing version of like, that lady's a moron. You listen to it because you like the music. And your favorite song's about the guy getting divorced, not the devil. Tornado of Souls, by the way, for anybody who cares. But yeah, I've been dealing with that crap my whole life, but don't care. All right, so micro SD in front, which I'm currently backing up. PlayStation memory card slots and PlayStation controller inputs, which these should be snack. And I don't know if I even have an original PlayStation memory card left, to be honest with you. And here's where things get a little interesting. On the back, you know, hold on, let me get my handheld light to make this a little easier for everybody. Uh-oh, what did I just drop? Okay. So on the back, power, 2 more USB, HDMI. That is a Saturn DIN, which we'll be testing basically first, and that's where you would get RGB SCART. Or you could get it from the VGA port. Can't wait to see the voltages there. 3.5 millimeter jack and network. So that's really cool. However, that is component video inputs on the outputs on the side with a dip switch, which I'll have to look up what those do. And then on this side, composite video, digital audio, and S-video. So that's nuts. That is really cool. And I very much like how everything can be in back for a nice tidy look, which is how I would love to have mine. If this performs well, I'll buy one of these for my setup because it should fit perfectly. So I could fit it all nice and tidy. However, you have all these extra options. And if you remember correctly, lots of retro consoles, TurboGrafx 16, have ports on the side. So not the end of the world there. All right, let's see what other stuff we have in the box. Micro SD, I think, is done backing up anyway, but let's just see. Does this come up, or do I open it a different way? Try not to rip it. This is not mine. Okay, I guess we open it like this. Oh, okay. And inside here, we have an HDMI cable. We got some stickers. Quick start guide, which I'll be firing up in a minute. And hilariously small writing. And then what's in here? USB-C braided cable. Looks to be pretty good quality too. I'm not going to speed test it because it's supposed to be for power, but that would be funny just to see considering how many awful cables I've tested recently. Alright, let me get a quick start guide up. Kreblogs, this is a fully functional MiSTer. It is absolutely not limited to just PlayStation. It's just got the PlayStation vibe going on. Overnight delivery, I'm not sure if I'm going to get to everything here, but I'm going to try. Don't forget to listen to the record backwards. Did you ever see the movie Little Nicky? I love that scene where the two stoners are like, what was the Ozman really trying to say here? He was like, the Ozman was actually always straightforward, but check this out. Everybody saw the movies, understands why I just laughed at my own joke. All right. I'm pulling up the setup page, which I will drop in the chat here. And I'm also going to keep reading the chat too. If they're snack, then do they work on menus or other cores? Supposedly, but that's what I'm going to be finding out too. Saturn DIN is not the same as the Genesis DIN. No, definitely not. Wonder what's better, this or an X station? I mean, that's not, I'm not being a dick. That's just not really a fair comparison because the X station is just an ODE for a single console. And so if you're somebody who really loves original consoles, original experience, and all of that, then the X Station arguably is better. But if you're somebody who just wants a bunch of cores and something that certainly feels like it's an original PlayStation, this blows the doors off of it. But once again, that's not a fair comparison because it's two different use cases. And then you're also talking about the PlayStation Core versus original, and that has nothing to do with Taki or the SuperStation. So yeah, not I didn't mean that as like an insult. I just meant it like emotionless. Like yeah, it's not going to be a good thing to compare it to. Hopefully that came out right. So often in these live streams, I'll say something and like I'll look at the comments and people will be like, "Wow, that was mean." Like no, I meant that with no emotion at all. All right, so we got this. And we got, let me grab that micro SD again, and I'm going to start with the micro SD it came with, but I also want to put in another one just to see How much is this thing? Link is in the description. I forgot, to be honest with you, but it's very fairly priced, that's for sure. Can you opt to have the system ship without the dock? Yes. I did order the dock, but none of them have started shipping yet. Also, Little Nicky is the only time in my entire life I've ever yelled in a movie theater ever, because I remember towards the end when sorry, earmuffs everybody if you don't want me to spoil the movie for you, but at the end I leaned into my girlfriend and when the bat came out and I was like, wouldn't it be funny if Ozzy was in the movie? And when Ozzy came out, I got up and screamed, and everybody around me was like, what are you doing? It was the only time I've ever done that. Totally worth it, by the way. Okay. How much, while I'm setting this up, how much is it, by the way, if anybody checked the website? I forgot the price, but I just remember seeing the specs of it and thinking, if this thing actually performs the way it's supposed to, that's a really good value. Which we're going to find that out now. And you know what? Let's just throw this thing right to the wolves. I got my other MiSTer here. I got my box of MiSTer stuff. And grab the Sync-On Luma cable. I got the keyboard. Keyboard right in the front. So this is out of the box, no configuration. So what I'm about to do is completely unfair, and I will not hold it against anybody if this doesn't work at all. Wait, is this? Wait, this isn't a Saturn. Is it? Is it not a Saturn port? What's going on here? Let me get my old man glasses and see. Hey, what's up, Lex? $199. Wow. Yeah, that is a very, very, very good price. $235 with shipping is still great. Oh, thanks, Lex, for ruining Hellraiser. No, I'm kidding. I'll see it eventually. Wait, now you're at 306? Some people are saying different prices. That's interesting. 306 is still not a bad deal at all. It's not as exciting as 150, but you know. I'm going to try to test some snack adapters, but we'll see how those go. The instruction manual, Papa, is right there. And let me see. Oh, wait, no, that's the... Is that? That is not the instruction manual. Interesting. All right, well... All right, so let me put on my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So why wasn't that working? I'm gonna blame my eyes or my cable. Yeah, that was either the eyes or my beat up old cable. Very, very beat up old cable. That's probably what that was. Fit perfect. And also, throwing this right to the wolves, this is a sync-on Luma cable. So I have no idea how this is going to react at all. So let me get my camera ready to shift over and show everybody. So we got this. All right. So I'm going to plug it in and power it on and then send it up to my PVM. I guess I must have already hit that. I'm going to go up here. Do I get anything at all? Yeah. That's okay. So this is impressive. This is about as unfair as it gets. I legitimately just powered that on and everything was pre-configured. Pretty cool. Interesting. Okay, so I think some of the first things I'm interested in seeing is how it handles all these different video outputs. So I am going to grab a bigger PVM to make it easier for you all to see it. That was cool. I wasn't like setting this up to fail. I was just kind of curious because so many of my fellow nerds, including me, by the way, often just plug stuff in first and read the instruction manual after. So if you're using RGB, that means it would just work. Pretty impressive. All right, so I get my 14-incher here. Shout out to Andy for this one. Andy, if you happen to be watching, got a new butt. Thank you to Keith for that too. Alright, so I'll plug this PVM in, and I'm going to grab, this is just a standard SCART to BNC cable, and this should allow me to start testing right away with a bunch of different stuff. Audio in. Now, if I remember correctly, this beat old SCART to BNC cable gets glitchy. So if we see glitches on the screen, it's this. It's not the SuperStation. Okay, get some. Oh, I should have warned for shaky cam again. Sorry. Double check. I'm still getting a signal over here. Oh, I think the screensaver kicked in and it went to all black. Yeah, that's all that happened. Okay. Underscan. So let's just go right into console. What do we got here? So right out of the box, it just worked. But I'm interested to see something somebody else had talked about. Let me check the chat really quick, and we're going to keep getting weird. Oh, the higher prices are with dock and shipping. All right, so that's actually cool. Hey, what's up, Sure? Reinhardt, check out the link in the description for the dock. I wrote a post on it on RetroRGB, and I'm excited to get it. There's 1,000 SuperStation One reviews all over YouTube. Really? Do any of them test lag? Do any of them do anything, anything helpful, or is it all just unboxing? Papa Rick, yes, it's essentially a MiSTer made simple. Because before this, the only way to get like all-in-one console-looking MiSTers is the MiSTer multi-system, which is great, but you can't get it. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it is what it is. If you can't buy something, you can't buy it. So these are open for pre-order too, but I'm hoping that they stay in, or they get in stock at some point. Oh, thank you, Carter Dean. Much appreciated. Neo, that's what I'm going to check in a second. Poke Press is interested to see how the SNES and N64's display over analog compared to the deep blurred mods. Yeah, so I will definitely be trying that in a sec. Wow, they're all unboxing? That's so useless. I did the unboxing here to give people time to join, really. Well, I also test component. Oh, yeah, everything. I'm going to do all that right now, in fact. Moro, functionally, from like a software point of view, it should be exactly the same as the MiSTer Pi, which is a good thing. It has the potential to be the best, so let's see. MiSTer Multisystem 2 was the best I tested so far, but how are specs compared to the Multisystem 2 or just a D10 Nano? It's all the same, just extras, but the video outputs is what I'm going to do right now, and that's what I'm very curious about. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to PS1 memory cards. And for dock info, please check the post. Okay, so let's do a couple of things here. Let me go into, and you'll see why in a second, by the way. Oh, that's right. Since I haven't set any controllers up yet, let me define. Okay, save, so I don't have to redo this. Test patterns. EBU color bars. Okay, while that's very boring to look at, what I'm going to do here is switch over to the scope and test voltages. Because this was a serious issue I had found with the MiSTer Multisystem, in that the DIN output was just not good. And for the record, I'm a fan of that project. So, but just because I'm a fan of something doesn't mean I'm not going to give it the same scrutiny I would give everything else. See if I could lock that camera in. All right, you're never going to be able to see this on camera, but I'll call it out and I'll show you anything if something sticks out. Mexiace, thank you so much for the super chat. That is really, really nice of you. Is it confirmed that they need the dock for connecting an MT32 Pi or other snack adapters? At the moment, yes. There is that bottom port, so I imagine there is potential for something else, but at the moment, I believe that's the only way to get snack, yes. Hello, Ori from London. The Classic Gray should still be available for pre-order. The games included, you just might want to check the website. I'll go through that if I have time to. MiSTer Multisystem 2 doesn't work with your standard Wi-Fi adapter without unplugging it at boot. I've seen that with MiSTer before. That's kind of common. All right, let's see. So, let me, so this is properly showing Luma, because this is a sync on Luma cable, so it's properly showing luminance. Let me zoom in to just do sync and see what the the voltages there, and then I'm going to do colors. And I'm not going to nitpick, but I just want to call out if there's anything noticeable. 288 millivolts for sync, 100% fine. You'll often see it a little bit higher in mods, but if it's over 200 and under 950, then it's totally compliant. So let me set my trigger. And let me test voltages. I'm probably standing right in front of this, aren't I? Yeah, me. 672 on red. That's excellent. No change on green, and there is a sync signal on green too, so that means sync on green is already there, which is fine. That's not going to affect an RGB setup at all. And blue is the exact same voltage. So that is all excellent and really good to see. And I'm going to leave the scope up because here's where things are going to get weird. Let me jump in the chat again. Snack is for the user I/O port that allows you to interface directly to FPGA pins, which allow for things that require, when I say zero latency, 0 milliseconds at all. So that's how you get controller adapters that work with light guns and stuff like the MIDI modules. Okay. Let's, I'm going to try my best to keep up with the chat, but there are very many cool people hanging out today, so let me see what I got. So what I want to do now, I heard a rumor about something. I don't even want to say it out loud until I do it myself. So let me spin this around. Grab my BNC adapter. But we're going to plug composite video into this just to see what happens to both the voltages and see if it works. So we'll pop open the side here. Composite was over here, right? Now I'm not worried about audio because the worst thing that could happen with audio is you get some clipping or something. Okay, so as I suspected, you're not going to just get composite video out of this without... Oh, wait. Whoa. What? Huh? Well, that's interesting in a good way. So right now, over here on the scope, which you could barely see anyway, I am unplugging and plugging in composite video, and there is no change at all to the voltages on any of these. In fact, I have all three up on the screen now just to see. Nothing. So that means this is completely isolated composite video output, so you could simultaneously have both. And at the same time, I didn't make any changes to the core at all. I wonder if the circuit in here isn't using MiSTer's way of doing it, but if it's breaking it out using an HDMI conversion in there. That's interesting. All right. Well, let's keep going. Where's my S-video cable? Ash probably came in and stole it again. So I'm just going to leave this plugged in just to see what happens. And I'm going to hammer away at this thing because this is already a pretty cool feature. All right, so we have S-video connected. You could definitely tell it's S-video because you could see the jaggies for composite and then not for S-video. But let me unplug it and plug it in and watch the scope again. there is no voltage change on the scope. And I also have luminance up from both the green and the sync. So this is completely independent. That's very cool. Well, now we got to do component video too and see if that works. Well, I'm just going to find my BNC adapters. Nice, right here. Uh-oh, not those. Come on, I got a big sack of these things. Where are they? Here we go. Does audio come in? I'll check audio in a bit, but that's not at all a concern of mine. Backlog Busters said they tried all the outputs at once and it was working. So what I'm testing now is if it's affecting the voltage at all, and it does not seem to be, which means it's 100% safe to use all of these at the same time, which is kind of nuts. All right. So I still have RGB from the Saturn cable, which fit fine. That was just my weird cable giving me issues before, being output to this display over here. And now I'm going to try to connect component video to this display and see what happens. Grabbing my trusty old HD RetroVisions. Woo! Aha! That would have ended the stream real quick. Just move this out of the way so I don't get cables twisted. I'll plug audio in, so I will test that in a second, but here we go. Now, I can't remember testing component on this particular monitor before, so it might take a couple of flicks of the switches to get it right, or not. All right, so we're on S video now, and all right, so what do I have plugged in backwards? Blue, green, red. Do I have to switch something from back here? Okay, not sure what's up with this. So do we need any interaction? Let me verify on the other display. Maybe here's where I need to start flipping the dip switches. And if anybody finds the manual and wants to check that for me, that'd be pretty cool. All right, so I got that's set up there. All right, I'm gonna unplug this. I'm not gonna move the camera around just yet, just to see. No, it's doing the same thing on the other monitor. So there must be some kind of dip switch I need to flip for that to work. So let me put it back. I guess unless there's something wrong with my HD RetroVision cable, but that'd be surprising. All right, let me check the chat and see. I'm going to do the memory card stuff last if I have time. And I'm not an expert at that, so it would be an idiot fumbling around just to see. Will I test temperature? Yeah, but not deep dive testing because I don't think there's a need. But I'll pop it open and I'll check. Just checking. Oh, thank you, Reinhardt. Do all the inputs have their own audio output? Most do. Because you have composite has audio, component has audio, audio is built into the DIN, and there's also a 3.5 jack. Hey, what's up, Veronica? Yeah, I beat up on my MiSTer all the time, and it's been pretty handy. All right. It's on. That's very true, but I double checked on this. All right, so I guess let me check the. There's Bluetooth pairing, power supply recommendations. I don't see a manual here. Great pictures on the website, but where? Oh, funny. The rendered picture of the component video input on the website doesn't show the dip switches here. So I'm guessing that's what it is, but what do the dips do? I mean, I'm definitely going to just start flipping them. And if I blow something up, that'd be a kind of a funny thing to check, but all right. So one of the quick tips is before you could use a PS1 controller or memory card, you must change the input option within the PS1 core from DualShock to SNAC. That's fair, but a good reminder. So when I forget that later, you all could yell at me in the chat. Yeah, there's nothing here about dip switches at all. Let me know if you all see anything. Yeah, feels very solid quality, Knack. Very. Maybe the dips are just fidget toys. Maybe Taki just put them there to drive people with OCD crazy because we have to know what they do now. All right, I'll get a dip switch flipper. Real Nozumo said their SuperStation One has been running 24/7 for 5 weeks without the slightest problem or overheating issue. Thank you for chiming in on that. All right. All of the outputs went out. Out of curiosity. So composite still works with that one. S-Video still works, but RGB and component went off. I'm going from the right to the left. Ooh, that one messed with composite and S-Video. Okay. That one didn't seem to do anything. Neither did that. Ooh, that looks terrible. I wonder what that switch number 1 is. Weird. All right, well, I'm going to try different cables, because who knows? Maybe the years of beating the crap out of these HD RetroVision cables finally got to them. It could be that you have to adjust it in the menu as well, which is fine. I was just so impressed at all the other outputs, I wasn't sure how that would affect it. So, let me just grab Yeah, I could just use these. Just a quick reminder, they don't actually have to be component cables. You just have to get the colors right to match up. So, red, blue, green. Red, blue, green. I mean, it's closer. Is that my switch over here? Okay, that oddly was my cables? That doesn't make any sense. I just used those cables like a week ago. Well, you know what? Let me try again. Let me try the other display just to make sure. And if that's it, I'm gonna have to set up some smoke signals to try to get Steve out of his cave to tell him that his cables lasted probably a decade of beating the crap out of them. So that's actually a pretty good thing. Yeah, wow. Looks perfect on this one too. So that's no dip switch settings at all. Listen, this is really selfish. I understand there's a lot of people watching, but I got to try those cables again because this would be the first HD Retrovision component cable failure I've ever had since I got these well over a decade ago. So I got to just try this again. Maybe I just plugged the wrong one in. We'll see. We'll see. I'm going to do it over here on the scope setup so I could just watch anything weird. It's only going to be very quick. Wow. Okay. It's the red connection on the HD Retrovision cable. Okay. That's what that was. Oh, is this... Do I have to... I'm waiting for a package that I have to sign for. Somebody's walking up now. Yeah, hold on one second. I'm sorry. Nope, that wasn't it. Just the mail. So let me double check. Four different batches. This should have been the first batch. Okay, so we have some dip switches up here. Hold on, let me copy and paste these. Neo, thank you. I want to just put this right in the description here. All right, I just updated that. My cable dying is the sign that the Dreamcast cable's imminent. That's pretty funny. I just got some DoorDash. No. No. All right, well, I'll get back into this in a second, but I don't know if you could see that. Let me see if I can get it to focus. This is the problematic one. You see there's a color difference? That's new. Feels like there's a... Yeah, all right. Oh, do you all see that? Oh, I know my ADHD is going to lose half the people here, but hold on. I think y'all are... Any of my fellow nerds are probably going to be interested if this is what I think it is. I feel like this is the rubber covering that was pulled out of another. Like I plugged it into an RCA jack that the rubber inside stuck to it. Yeah, this is not Steve's fault. Ah! Wow, I've never seen that in my life. Let's try giving it a quick scrape to see. Has anybody else ever seen that? Have you ever plugged an RCA cable into something before and had it pull the rubber off of it? Weird. All right, well, I will, or pull the metal off to expose the rubber underneath. Okay, well, I got one for the Steve pile here. Sorry for the distraction, but that was almost worth it just for the weird factor. So I think that's what it was. It wasn't that there was rubber on it, that something gripped it and ripped the metal off. All right, well, so we have all of the outputs with basically no interaction needed. Let me see if I could double check some of those dip switch settings. Go apologize to HG Retrovision. No, I'm going to somehow blame Nick's mustache in all of this. So I think there's 5 switches, but only 4 called out here. So one of the things that's listed here, mode FPGA or external, I think what must be happening is you could control between having the FPGA send the signal out or the, meaning like composite and S-video or this conversion. So let's try, well, you know, let's do, let me think about this. I am going to just throw a couple of quick ROMs on here so we could do some tests. All right, SD card just popped up. Let me open up my RetroNAS and just copy some stuff over. I could reconnect it to RetroNAS in a second, or later on, but I want to stick to as relevant stuff as possible here. All right. Let's just do Sonic. Oh, I think this is finally it. Sorry, everybody. Hold on a second. All right, sorry everybody. That's what I was waiting for. Phone is off. No more cable distractions. No more doorbell ringing. I'm gonna do good old Sonic. Fire that up right away. Oh, you have a UFI doorbell too? Mine sucks. Doesn't work half the time. None of these cameras do. The ones that I'm looking forward to trying whenever I actually get some money is the Ubiquiti ones. People say are really good. So, but these are so cheap that you could buy like twice the cameras and just get it working. All right. So we're still in composite video mode. I'm going to go to console, Mega Drive, Sonic. All right. And let me throw audio on here too. I'm not sure if the composite video has a separate audio in on this. So this looks very good for composite. On par with the original Genesis, I would say. S-video looks excellent. So let me try those dip switches then, and let's see. At some point, I could try to pop this thing open so we could see what circuit they're using, but so far, so good. So let me check those dip switches again. So PAL NTSC region switching should be pretty easy to figure out, especially in game. I really don't know what that first dip switch does. Alright, so I'm going to switch the, you know what, I'm going to put this thing in back just to get it out of the way. I'm going to plug this in and check out what the MiSTer INI file says on this thing and change it. And that way we could just determine if there's a better or worse version of using composite video, but that looked great to me. So, oh, you know what? Let me share the screen because this actually, okay, so it has, where'd that go? A bunch of different INI files in here. So I wonder if this is pre-configured for anything, because this is what it comes with by default. Composite Sync 1. Subcarrier for external RGB converters. So I wonder, okay. So what must be happening here is this is the new mode that allows the digital output to be converted via the I/O pins automatically. I believe Pork is doing this with the Prism, which hasn't shipped yet. It's not really delayed, just a couple of weeks, but I'll test that, of course, when it comes in. So that's probably explaining what this is doing, which is awesome. And what's video mode set to? That's the only change I'm going to make is setting the HDMI output to its lowest latency modes and 1080p, which is only worth testing. It isn't worth testing. I mean that in a nice way. Okay. So let's plug this back in. What else do we want to test? What about... So I can't test latency from the analog ports without a snack adapter, but I'm not worried at all about that. Because latency is going to be the same as with everything else. I mean, there's no way... I don't think anybody in their right mind would put a buffer on this, and it would cost more money to do that. So I'm not sweating it at all. All these are back. I wonder... Wait, let me set this back to composite. I'm just curious to see, could you also get composite video from the Saturn DIN? And the reason that I care about that is not that it matters, but if somebody does have a setup that's going to a composite video TV, why not have it all coming out the back for a nice clean look? So, okay, so I'm unplugging composite. In fact, I'm just going to unplug all this stuff because I don't really need anything else yet. I'll unplug composite, and then I'm just going to try to grab a Saturn cable that has composite video output to test that way. And then we could kind of go from there with testing this thing. But so far, oh, the VGA port we got to test too. And voltage on that as well. But so far, I am very impressed. Not a little impressed, very impressed. What we've tested already is a lot for your money. Alright, can I find cable? Yeah, right here. Cool. Oh, and this one even has S-Video on it, so it's probably one of these crappy AliExpress cables that doesn't work right, but even better. So... Ha! It does. And this interference that you're seeing, that we didn't see before, I would very much be willing to bet that's this horrible cable. I believe this is, I could be wrong, but I believe, yeah, see the interference? I believe this is the cable I bought to prove to people why you don't want to buy cheap combo composite S-Video cables from any of these places, unless they've been properly vetted, obviously. Yeah, so that's not the SuperStation, that's the cable. Let's look at audio, I'm assuming. Yeah. And, I mean, since we're here and since the cable has it, let's try S-Video. And then I'll also test the VGA port. Yeah, and that actually doesn't look bad at all. All right. So far, I am beyond impressed. Like, for real. And this entire time, I didn't want to just keep repeating myself over and over, but I've been glancing over at the scope to see if I see anything weird, and nothing's been dancing around. And it would be very likely that one of these scenarios, if the circuit was built wrong, you'd see something start to go nuts on the scope, and it never happened. So, time for the D-sub VGA output, which still might just be the easiest solution for a lot of people. So let me... Oh, let's see this button. Brings up the on-screen display. Beautiful. I am just going to run into... Here, let me... You know what? You just need the scope view. I don't know why I'm messing around with this. There we go. Come on, scope. Stay there. So I'm just going to load up the test suite, get the same color bars up, and just verify there isn't any weird differences in color and when I plug in multiple sources. That's the other thing I forgot to... All right, EBU color bars. Let me get sync up first. So Now, the sync on the VGA output is always going to be higher, because it should, based on all the specs. And we're getting 1.2 volts under 75 ohm load, which is what it should be for the VGA port. Not for the rest of them, but for VGA. So that's totally fine. But let's just see colors. The color is also... Why do I pretend like I could see anymore? I think I'm just still holding on to the fact that I'm not an old man. Same in the 670 range, which is awesome. And the one thing that I do want to triple check, so let me just go through all of the colors to make sure they're all the same. Yep, and green is on there too. So while we're doing that, I'm leaving that on the scope. So we have VGA connected here. I'm gonna, well, let me back this out so you don't just see the truffle shuffle happening in front of the camera here. And then after this, I could just leave it on RGB and start testing other features if you'd like. Plug this sucker back in. So regardless of what this test, the results are, what I'm about to do, I still call this whole thing a win, but I'm still just curious what's going to happen. So, red, blue sync, okay. All right, so RGB, this, do I have it set? Okay. So I still see the scope in real time. I could still see the readings where they are. Let me connect. Nothing has changed, even with them both plugged in, which means they are isolated and you could use both at the same time. You could safely use both at the same time. I'm checking all red, green, blue, and sync just because. Yeah. So simultaneous output is working on absolutely every one safely. Safely is the key. You could put a Y cable on anything, but you're likely to just blow everything out. All right, so I'm going to leave this up to the chat. Do you want me to leave a CRT plugged in, or do you want me to grab a flat panel so there's less rolling shutter going on when we check out the other features? While I wait for that, I'm just going to turn off the scope because there's no reason to have it anymore. We already proved this thing is as good as it gets with the analog video output. Upset Father has an excellent question, and my answer is a little snippy, not to you, but just to the question itself. Hold on, where'd that go? There are so many inexpensive 4x3 LCD monitors with every port possible. Have I ever considered reviewing them as a CRT substitute for those without the space? They all suck. And when I say that, I mean that compared to the options of today. So you could find yourself an old Dell monitor with everything in it, and in fact, I have a widescreen one here, but LCD motion blur on older LCDs is just horrible. And every single time, with the exception of the Arcuda monitor, every single time you plug analog video directly into a flat panel, you're going to gain a lot more lag. So no, I definitely won't, but I'm glad you asked because it's a great question that I think more people need to hear the answer to, whether they want to hear that answer or not. I'm sure I missed a whole lot here. All right, everybody wants CRT, so that's what it is. Yeah, Eric, I got that Dell 2007 FPV, and yeah, it looks good until something moves. Yeah. All right. You know, agreed, Dave. Avoid it, especially because you could get really cheap modern displays. Like, I keep talking up that Titan Army monitor because it really is as good as it gets in the context of price and compatibility. It's compatible with all of the retro stuff, plus you could do modern gaming, and, you know, it's still an IPS, but it's a great IPS. Let me get this port. The clips on that port could be a little more solid, but it's not bad or anything. So, PlayStation. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to really quickly add my CIFS file so I could access my RetroNAS through this thing, and we're going to test that too. I sound like Project Farm. And we're going to test it. All right, I got the CIFS in, and I'm going to throw my Wi-Fi in here too, just to see what happens. Do I not have Wi-Fi configured on this? That's odd. Let me grab my other MiSTer and pull that micro SD out. Oh, actually, since I got this, let's just do that. Here's a micro SD for my Retro Castle MiSTer. Let's just see what happens. I'll plug the USB in here. This might actually be a pretty cool test to run. I was thinking about doing this anyway, so this is actually neat. Your best CRT is a monitor and not a TV or PVM? I bet you it's still awesome. I'm not being a wise ass, seriously. I bet you that's absolutely awesome. Try that video, watching that video I put out a couple years ago, classic consoles on VGA monitors. Memory card, 64 gigabyte. What's up, Smoke? Yeah, so there were some red flags with a lot of these projects, and you know, I called Taki out on a lot of them, but then Taki delivered on absolutely everything. So cool. And, you know, neither of us need to apologize, by the way, because Taki delivered, so there's, you know, nothing needed there. And the stuff I called out was true, but I don't think I was a dick about it. I just think it's my job. So, but yeah, no, it's definitely no beef or hard feelings at all. At least none for me. Tons of people don't like me. That's fine. But all right. I just wanted to reboot with the Wi-Fi module to see, because many MiSTer setups have issues with the Wi-Fi, and I've always suspected it's kind of the Linux backend, because I've gone months with it being perfect, and then not, and then back again. There's lots of weird stuff, like and there's stuff so weird I never wanted to talk about it publicly until other people said stuff. But like, if you plug in the network cable, suddenly the Wi-Fi starts working. Like, there's a lot of weird stuff like that, but that's not hardware specific usually. Yeah, all right, you see Wi-Fi popped in and out? You know what, before we continue, let me just double check the Wi-Fi is configured on this thing, and I can't imagine it wouldn't be, because this is something else that everybody would have to deal with if there's some weird Wi-Fi module stuff. Open with... Yeah. It's all configured. I liked you up until the tubing video. Now I just accept you. Yeah. I was out the other day on that thing. It was right when the snow melted, so there ended up being like a drop-off cliff, and I tried it anyway, and it wasn't fun. It was like the drop-off actually was kind of neat, but the snow was too sticky, so I couldn't get some speed. I actually did go skiing this year, and it really drove the point home that I just don't like it. I imagine if I'd gone like once a week all year to practice, I eventually would, but that's a lot of money I don't have, and that's, 45-minute drive each way, whereas I could blow up the snow tube that I bought once and go thring myself down a hill and be home before I even got to the ski place. So, yeah, I'm a lazy tuber, not a skier. Okay, Wi-Fi on. So let's just see. Let me unplug this. Do I still keep Wi-Fi then? I know this might seem like I'm being a bit pedantic, but the Wi-Fi not working is really a MiSTer thing that people have had to deal with quite a lot. I'll do one more test after this and then I'll move on, but that is definitely worth messing with it. EW, yeah, basically every video output works all at the same time perfectly. So yeah, it is very cool. Upset Father, thank you. Welcome. And I try my absolute best. Am I at the point where I'd happily recommend all three projects, Taki Castle and MiSTer Multisystem? Yeah, absolutely. My Retro Castle one is going to be like, if this thing continues to perform as well as it has, what's going to end up happening is this is going to go into my main gaming setup, which I get to use like 3 times a year when I do a live stream playing a game. And I might get the gray one for myself. And just because it'll look a little more retro for that setup, although I love the way this one looks. And then my Retro Castle MiSTer is still going to be my workhorse that gets beat up every day, doing all the craziness that I do. And this will actually be the one that I game on. So what I'm doing right now is putting the same exact Wi-Fi dongle back into the Retro Castle one, powering it on, and seeing if we get Wi-Fi or not. And it's going to take a minute, and it's going to be boring, and I'm sorry in advance, but... Oh, I forgot to plug the keyboard in, too. Did I just shut the power on this, or flip this out or something? What the heck just happened? Oh, okay. Okay, so you saw Wi-Fi, you see it working, you got the IP address, and this is the Retro Castle one, so let me switch it back over, and it's working with both of these plugged in. And let me just, I'll use a different USB port. My router is just over my head, so it's definitely not a range configuration issue. And let's plug this in. Oh, yeah, dumb. Would help if I had the micro SD card in here. Yeah, Toaster, a lot of people haven't, and if you haven't, good, don't touch anything. Oh, Mega, if I had the time, I would still love to, but I just it takes a lot to keep all this stuff going, and I love doing what I do, and I don't want to change that. So I could probably go back to a product development job and have time to play video games 2-3 times a week, but I don't want to do that. This is what I want to do. All right, so there's not going to be a way to keep this up without plugging the keyboard in. Okay, so that's definitely something to note. Let me see if I have another Wi-Fi dongle just to try it. And let me also try adding it after power up and seeing what happens from there. I actually also have a MiSTer to sell at some point. I have an original DE10 and one of those mini ITX boards. The one that I put in here. This was the super short story. I designed this based on parts that we had laying around in our warehouse back when I had the job making medical grade computers, and I was just really proud because it's just a stupid box. But back then, making something that's medical compliant based on stuff you already have in inventory, I was very proud of that. So I put my MiSTer in it, but it's just too big for my setup, so I could sell the DE10 out of it and use it to fund whatever silly craziness I'm going to be doing after this. All right, I'm going to try another Wi-Fi module and see if that works. So yeah, if anybody wants this, this is a mini ITX motherboard with an original DE10, and I think that's one of Pork's really good, the good boards, the good I/O board that 24-bit stuff like that. If anybody wants to buy it, I would just give it for the price of a DE10, and you could have the I/O board and the other thing in there. Wi-Fi is built into the SuperStation One? Seriously? So I'm just dicking around, messing stuff up. Wow. I love making mistakes in these. I don't care how stupid I look making them. Is that really it? Is that why? Because there's just two Wi-Fi dongles? I have no problem making a complete ass of myself, especially if that's the answer to why I'm having this quote-unquote problem. That would be so cool. I hope you're right. I hope I look like a total dork right now. I did remember there's the NFC reader, and I'll try to get to that too. All right, it's built in, but is it though? Because what are we doing here? All right, so look. Here's what I'm going to do. Unplug power. I'm going to take out the micro SD, and I'm going to put back Takis just with my Wi-Fi information in there. Wait, is Taki in the chat? Did I miss that? Sorry, the chat's going quick and I'm trying not to... Oh, it is Taki. Hey, what's up, man? That is very funny. I love it. So I'm going into the Linux folder of my current micro SD and removing the, or copying the WPA supplement file. And I'm going to put it over onto your SD card and boot into that, just in case there's something else that I changed. But that should be the same. And I'm looking at the contents of the file, and they're both identical other than my SSID and password. So, okay, so I'm good here. So let me put Taki's card in and boot from there. Hey, Taki, if you're not willing to share this, I don't blame you, but how are you able to pull off that awesome analog video DAC setup where composite video doesn't have crazy dot crawl? Everything is able to be accessed all at the same time. Like, did you just build in your own custom DAC circuit? And is it all 24-bit? Okay, did you all see how quickly that popped up? That's very interesting. So first of all, Wi-Fi never pops up that quick on any MiSTer I've ever used, which is, I mean, obviously it's a good thing. But at the same time, why didn't it on my other micro SD card? I'm going to try the other one last time, and then we're just going to move on, because this is very interesting. I wonder what's going on that's different with this. Different in a good way. Let's just try one more time and see, and go from there. So people keep asking about cooling as well, and I don't see a single need for a fan in here. Nothing's getting even hot to the touch. But, you know, we'll try some other cores and kind of go from there. It's so funny. I forgot Wi-Fi was built in. Yeah, okay. So I'll mess with that another time that's not now, because I don't want to waste everybody's time. But the Wi-Fi should have popped up here. You know, I'm going to keep my card in here because I'm interested to see if there's any other changes. And even if it is my fault, because this might be something people run into. Because what if you have like a current setup, but you would prefer this one? So you sell whatever board you already have, and then just drop your micro SD in, so you don't even have to worry. So I'm going to wait for that to get a Wi-Fi signal and go from there. So Taki says the FPGA code was updated to support subcarrier signals from the FPGA based on the YC work done last year. I definitely remembered it. So they implemented it in the regular YC, which is accessible by those dip switches on that side. That's great. Do you have an official list of what the dips do? Because all we found was something on Reddit that wasn't complete. All right, PlayStation. So once again, like, this is an unfair test that I think is actually a great one to run, because I just pulled my micro SD out of the current MiSTer I had into this. So if we have failures, it's kind of a good thing, because we'll be able to check it out and see. So let's do Road Rash. And then we need to find the controller. Pad 1. Snack port 1. And then I'm going to save. All right. And then I'm going to power off and connect the controller. Yeah, and Taki, since you're still here, can you comment on if these things are going to be... And I know this is an impossible question, by the way, so you can tell me to F off if this is as dumb as it might be. But is there a point where the goal is to have these in stock where people could just order them and ship out right away? Is there anything people should know about that? Because, I mean, this is a big deal. So I think people are really going to want these, and I think one of the biggest problems we run into is just simply being able to buy any of this stuff. All right, so I have a PlayStation 2 controller, just plugged into the front. And it is not working in the menus, which is fine. Snack ports don't usually. I'll wait for my network to kick in, and then I'll fire up PlayStation. I'll do that after the stream, but I'm really curious to figure out why my Wi-Fi isn't loading on this one. And if the answer is because you got to just start from scratch and all the crap that I loaded up over the years is causing the problem, that's totally fine. The other MiSTer that I use is, I beat up on this test rig daily, so... It's printed on the PCB, so I could open it up and show if the person I'm borrowing this from doesn't mind. No, and I will be buying one of these at the end of the stream. When will it ship? Which port would composite or S-Video come out of for connecting to a CRT? Woody, I'll show you real quick while we wait, but it has composite and S-Video on the side, but it also successfully has composite and S-Video coming from the Saturn DIN in the back, so you could have it any way that you would like. All right, let's go back into Road Rash and see what happens. And while we're waiting, I'm going to do a full summary write-up of this, but it's not going to be out till tomorrow, and I already did the podcast. So if you see me not mention it in the podcast tomorrow, it's no offense. It's just time is my enemy here. Does Road Rash have an issue? I guess I could try Ridge Racer? Taki's goal is to be done with shipping all orders this month. That's really cool. Try the Wi-Fi script instead of messing with the Wi-Fi settings files. The script just edits the settings files. Right? Okay, this is just working. There's nothing else I'm doing. All I did was plug this in the front and set the core to snack and plug that in, and that's it. That's all I did. Yeah, it's working great. Okay, so let's try. I'm pretty sure this is the only memory card I have. I could try to find another one, but here's the MemCard Pro 2. I'll boot with that and see what happens. And I guess I could also try to see if I have another one. Thanks, Veronica. Yeah, because I remember asking Jamie Kittreg's Risha about that a couple of years ago, and she was just saying the same thing. The only suggestion she had was that sometimes apparently Windows Notepad might mess with the orientation of the file, which shouldn't be an issue. But then she suggested I just use Notepad++, which I did for years until I just got really tired of having a Notepad program tell me it's going to update every time I opened it. Hey, what's up, buddy? Needs to order this in a dock? Yeah, think so. I think this is going to be the one to buy. Yeah, Taki's confirming that too. So, look, I just want to be clear once again. This is my micro SD card out of my try everything, beat up and go. Oh, now the Wi-Fi is working. So it's, yeah, I'm not at all in any way saying there's anything wrong with this. It's just more of a configuration thing. But I want to keep using this because there's definitely going to be other people that try to do what I do. And I think it's not unfair to say if you have any issues, back up your games, your saves, and your games and your saves, and then just go from there. Like, go with a new card, I mean. Interesting. Do I get anything on screen here? I'm going to try that one more time, and if it fails, I'm just going to go back to Taki's card. But that was interesting. It just kind of crashed when booting into that. Oh, this card has issues with the SuperStation One. Interesting. Okay. I'll try launching it one more time, and then, I don't know, and then I'll also try. I don't know if it'd be a good idea to plug it in after booting the core, but I'd be willing to risk it. Okay, that did work. Let's go back into Ridge Racer. So the MemCard Pro is definitely powered up. While this is booting, let me see if I have any other card at all. I'm going to open up my PlayStation box and see what I have lying around in here. But I don't know what might be. Here we go. Oh, I forgot I even had this. That is so accurate to the original. Wow, that is funny. And it, like, that is just very cool. Huh. That is awesome. That is really awesome. All right, let's see. Do I have any memory card at all? Okay, it looks like I do. Wait, I do. Okay, I have a couple of things that we could try as well. First, and unrelated to this stream, I found this. I don't even know what this is. A PlayStation 2 3D adapter. Sealed. I don't know why I bought it, where I got it from, but it says 3D on it, so I'll try it. I'm also going to try the memory card. And I got a light gun. Let's try all this stuff. All right, I'll start with this. Does Ridge Racer have a save? You know what does, without a doubt, is Symphony of the Night. Check the chat again. Sound disappeared? Sound is back. Weird. Okay, sorry. How is the state of the X Station? Is it worth getting? Do all the games work? I think it's great. I'm not sure if there's any weird use cases of where it wouldn't work. But, you know, it's always, do you want original hardware versus not original hardware? And, wait, am I supposed to go into the, hold on. Memory card status saved. Save memory, mount memory card 1. You know, I've never actually used a memory card on this. So, anybody got any thoughts? Okay. Oh, game audio? Yeah, I turned the volume all the way down just so I wouldn't keep looping back. So yeah, Reinhardt, I love the X Station. I think it's great. I just if PlayStation is one of your favorites and if you love original hardware, definitely get it. But as you just saw, this thing looks just like the PSONE, the PS1. So that's very cool. Memory status. Well, so I think with the default settings, it just saves to the MiSTer's SD card, right? And Taki, if you're still here, is there anybody that's thinking about doing stuff like Genesis, Super Nintendo to PlayStation snack adapters for people who just want to use the front ports here? I know now you're getting into territory of original hardware. What if people try to use it? Would it even work on original hardware? But it's still something that's worth talking about because for anybody that just wants this really clean look, I would be happy to pay for a little dongle that plugs into there that I could plug my other controllers into. Especially one that has things like, I don't know, a nice case around it and not just a science project with exposed metal. It's under snack options. Okay, I'm going to take a look. The dock does have the snack bypass on the side, but for a front plug like this, I think it'd be pretty cool. Snack memory card, real. Okay. So that's what I needed to do. Okay, reboot. Let me try this again. And then we'll try a light gun game, and then I'll see whatever else anybody wants me to try. I don't really have great ways to test digital audio. I could try to plug it into my stereo, but I'll leave that up to you all. So, serious question, no sarcasm here. How many people would legitimately be using their memory cards between SuperStation One and original hardware? Is that something that's very realistic to have happen? Because I imagine it's completely guessing here. It'd be a good handful of people, but not everybody. All right, so no card, so the Mem Card Pro is not detected. So let me plug in the original. Did it again. I wonder then if it's worth talking to 8-bit mods and seeing if they'd be willing to implement like per game saves just like they do with the real hardware. I think this is one of those things where once the Superstation's in stock and ready to purchase, not just in pre-order, I think a lot more people are going to buy it because I think, and this is nothing against any one seller. I just think everybody is sick of putting their money in for a pre-order and then a year and a half from now maybe getting it, and then by the time it's out, maybe there's something better available out there. So and that's not any one seller. It's just kind of where we're at. So I think once it's in stock, a heck of a lot more people are going to buy it, and I think that's when stuff like this is going to start to hit. 8-bit mods might be getting a handful of emails now, but once a lot more of these start to hit people's hands, they're probably going to get bombarded with emails like, hey, could you add support for this so I could swap back and forth? But that's a good team of people. So I imagine if it's important to them or important to other people, they'll implement it. Oh wow, this has my save on it. Well, all right, so I couldn't. I didn't remember even using this, to be honest with you. I couldn't possibly show a better demonstration than this, and this is 100% by accident. So it worked. It read the save right off the memory card. I mean, come on. Perfect. Okay. So I am now going to switch over to light guns. And I'll check the chat. Can I do a review on the keyboard device I'm using? Yeah, so none of these... Here, let me give you a 30-second. None of them are good, but this one sucks less. And it's cheap. I've seen a lot more, much more expensive ones. So maybe I... Thanks. You just sent me down another rabbit hole. Maybe I'll buy a couple of them and see if I could find one that's actually really good and do a review of it. But my temporary suggestion is just buy whatever's the cheapest one out there. And if it does anything but suck really badly, just deal with it. Okay, so composite video in here. And just a fun little tidbit while we wait here. If you put a color bar on a scope and you plug composite video into a scope, and you have your color bar on here, you see all the colors, you get your readings, you unplug composite and you plug this in, the voltage doesn't change. These gun cons don't put a load on the signal, which is why it's safe to use when technically this is a Y circuit, which I always teach people not to use. But that's not what this is doing. It's not putting a TV load on it. It's just, for lack of a better description, sniffing the signal and not changing it. And that's why it's safe to do that. And it's not safe to just put a Y cable up and output this to two devices. Most of the time. There's going to be somebody in the chat when I get back there that's like, actually, if you use this device, it's totally safe. But, you know, it is what it is. Let's go Lethal Enforcers. Wait, the Namco gun. What did the Namco gun work with? Let me check to see if I have another gun too. Derek Lander, have I tested input lag yet? I can't do that until the snack adapter comes, except it would... I would be blown away if there was anything other than the exact same amount. What was it? 2 milliseconds of latency off HDMI and 0 off of analog. We'll find out when we're using the light gun, because that's certainly way to prove it. Because if there was latency, that would mean Taki would have had to intentionally add a video buffer, which would increase cost, take away from what they're doing. Like the chances of there being lag on this is there's more of a chance of me getting hit by a meteor on the way out the door. But excellent question. Always ask. What memory card's that? Whatever cheap one I bought at a game store when I started RetroRGB. Like junk bottom of the barrel bin one. Time Crisis, Point Blank. Okay. Oh, Taki. So is that not a digital audio port then? All right, let's see what we got. I always have bad luck with MiSTer and light guns, by the way, so we'll see. I'll let it boot so I don't trip anything up. try to introduce lag so I can sell the solution. No. Is the PS2 light gun compatible with PS1 games on MiSTer? Is that what this is? Is this a PS2 light gun? I haven't touched these things in a long time. Digital audio is in the back. That's the GunCon port. Interesting. Oh, so that's the port in back is analog and digital 3.5 millimeter. That's very cool. What, y'all see that? Zero configuration here. I mean, obviously I went into the menu and enabled snack beforehand, but all right, let me do this. All right, aim. Huh. So anybody who watched any of the previous light gun on MiSTer things that I had done, this is hilariously easy. I quite literally set it to snack, and then that was it. Yeah, this is just working. I mean, it's like real hardware. That is really cool. So I guess that's another thing too, is if these work so easily. Oh, you know what? Let me try switching over to the other port like Taki was just talking about. So that's cool. That's interesting. So if somebody has a GunCon, like some of the third-party ones, I think maybe I've seen that don't have the pass-through, you could just use the other port. You could also use the composite video port and pass it through without any worries whatsoever. But hey, options are always a good thing. But Taki, if you're ever looking to kill $2 off the cost of this thing, then you could get rid of that one because it is definitely safe, but it's nice to have. You know we're going to have to put it on a scope after this, right? Just to see. All right, so that's perfect. I want to test Lethal Enforcers just because I'm curious. And I think that's going to require a different gun, which is going to be a great way to try and throw a wrench in this thing on purpose from a MiSTer testing point of view. Let me let that load and I'll check the chat. Eric 90,000 said it supports 24-bit color via analog output. Well, we'll double check that, but yes, I believe so. But we'll double check it. Will I be doing a full video on this? This is the full video on this. And I will do a detailed write-up, and I will summarize it in next week's podcast, not this one, because I already recorded tomorrow's podcast. Have I ever had a setup where I was able to use guns in a Dreamcast without them being very off? Yeah. But I've also had them off for no reason whatsoever, and I couldn't figure out why. All right, so this gun is not compatible with Lethal Enforcers. This is not a SuperStation One issue. This would happen on an original PlayStation. But this is kind of the stuff that I want to test too, because there's always the potential with MiSTer and FPGA cores to port stuff over to work. Most of it is way too much effort to justify the time. But, you know, we got some real smart people working on the MiSTer project. You never know. And very often stuff like that starts with somebody who just already has one kind of gun, don't want to have to go out and buy another. So they just go and say, you know what, I'm going to code this support in and see what happens. And if it's already there, I'll check the chat, and y'all can make fun of me again for messing that up too. But I have a second gun. And this one is a couple of different modes to it. So I will try this out. And if nobody has anything else they want me to test, I'm going to do one more quick scope test and then pop it open so we can see the insides. Oh, good recommendation, Woodies. I'm going to take white box pictures of this to go along with the post so people could see the real one and as clear as possible. All right. So we got this one. No idea if this is going to work. We are going to find out. No, probably not. I could swear I had one of these that worked with everything, but I don't know. I've had so many of these over the years. All right, so let me go back in, test one more thing on the scope, and then I will check the chat and see if there's anything else you all want me to test out of just out of curiosity, anything that's within reason. And I might just do that white box picture now just for anybody joining who wants to see this thing in high quality. I think the pictures, BNR, I think the pictures on the page are renders still. I could be wrong, but I don't think that actually matches up. All right, well, I'll put this back. Let me grab a different core. Let me put the other micro SD back in just so I don't forget. I can't tell you how many times I'll go to power on something and be like, why the heck isn't it working? What's going on? And I'll immediately start troubleshooting hard stuff just to find out that I didn't have my micro SD back in the other MiSTer. All right. Good. That's booting console. SNES. Grab that composite video cable. All right, so I'm going to do a couple of things. First, let's plug it into this monitor. Composite works fine. We're leaving that on, and then let's switch ports. So is it composite or just... All right, so the black connector on the side is just sync, nothing else, which is good. I mean, it's just the gun con port, so you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And let me plug it into the scope just to triple check. I can't possibly imagine this is anything other than working perfectly, but we'll go from there. Oh, Taki, I get it now. Snack sync, just like the PlayStation snack modules that have the sync ports on the side. That took me a minute. I remember testing those in beta when they first came out, and when they had a whole bunch of quirks still. I mean, that was years ago, obviously. But, all right, that makes total sense. So I'm not going to actually see anything out of the scope until that comes out. All right, so that's cool. What that basically means is nobody has anything to worry about at all. And you could, if there's any MiSTer specific thing that says use the snack gun con port, you use the black one. And if not, then you just use the standard yellow composite video port, and that's it. All right, well, that's awesome. I think this is one of those things where just using composite video is probably going to be all anybody ever needs. But I think that was a smart move to include it, because there might be something down the line that we figure out. Like, what if it's something like you end up using a PlayStation 1 gun with a NES, but it has to be through that port and not the others. I bet you there's some realistic scenarios that might end up in that, where people would, like, that would be the only choice. So I'm going to take this thing apart in about 1 second, unless anybody has anything else they want me to test. All right, cool. So let me grab a bunch of this stuff out of here just to make room for the white box, and I'm going to use the white box now because it'll actually just make it easier for you all to see what I'm about to show and look at. So here, don't need this. Well, damn, Taki, I should have ordered one of these for me before I started the stream and not after. I was probably 30 people in line in front of me. Damn it. Okay. Funny enough, this is something I should have reviewed a long time ago. I know I tell the story all the time, but you all are witnessing in real time a slow-paced opening of this thing. And I used to do it manually with lights and a pop-up white box. And it was like 15 minutes of setup and 5 minutes of teardown. And y'all are witnessing the less than 1 minute this sucker's going to take. That's it. Do my lazy put whatever I'm shooting on top of whatever smudge is on the thing so I don't have to clean it yet. All right, let's are there PlayStation cores or other cores that support the Sinden light gun? They all do through the custom cores that Andy posts, so you'd have to just kind of reference those, but yeah. All right, photo. So I'll give you all a decent view. And yes, I do have a fancy GH5. However, I find very often for white box pics, the way a cell phone focuses is actually easier and better. All right, so let me zoom in so y'all could see this. So we were talking about what we were talking about before: composite video, snack GunCon port. If the core is programmed right, they should both work, but if for whatever reason one doesn't work, try the other. S-video, and then audio is from here. And then on the other side, you have the dip switches, which will open this up and read what it says on the board. You have component video and audio. Audio is always safe to have simultaneous. The worst that could happen is if you plug in a ton of audio outputs, it'll get quieter and you might get some crackling or some interference, but it's not going to hurt anything. You're not going to like blow anything out. All right. So we have a component there. I guess if I had to nitpick, literally the only complaint I have at all is this doesn't stick in, as like this kind of pops out a little bit. That is the most ridiculous complaint ever. Once you just kind of get it in its place, it's not going to pop out. That is complete nitpicking, but you know, it's kind of my job. And then in the back, we have power, 2 USB, HDMI, Saturn mini DIN, which supports RGB, and I guess you could probably get component out if you changed settings. Well, maybe we could try that if there's more time after, but I wouldn't worry about that. You'd probably have to change the MiSTer INI file to support component, whereas this is automatic. You don't have to change anything for this. It just outputs component, period. But I guess the use case would be you want everything run out the back. But to be honest, if you're going to do component video, you might want to just do it out of this. So I guess that's where the only time you would have to mess with the MiSTer INI file is getting component video out of either. But you could get RGB out of both of these. You can get it simultaneously. We tested that too. And that's digital. That should be one of the dual ports that's digital and analog output, and obviously, you know, network. All right. And then let's open this sucker up. I guess maybe a top-down shot or something just in case. And then I'll open that up and we'll check out the insides. I'll also check these pictures before the stream ends so we don't, to make sure I don't need to retake any of them. Checking the chat now. That's a selling stuff on eBay box. Can I say exactly what it is? Yeah, actually, if you go to retrorgb.link/Amazon and you scroll down past all of the videos. Actually, no, right on top, there's idea lists right next to the search, and you click on photography, and that's everything, including the light box. This is an Amazon Basics foldable light box. It's $111. And yeah, that is, I mean, I've been using this for years. I got to update this too with all the other stuff that I use. But yeah. Adrian, it's not too late. Pre-orders are open now, and Taki just said before that his goal is to ship them all by the end of this month, and then they should just be in stock. So you didn't actually miss out. I'm right now just checking to make sure the pictures that I took came out okay. Which they are all fine. I'm going to have to color correct and stuff later, but whatever. Y'all get it? Okay. All right. Time to... Oh, you know what? Let me just pop the micro SD out just in case. Taki, if you're still watching, do I need to pull the feet off to get this thing apart? I don't like doing that unless I have to. And if you're not, I don't blame you. It's probably late where you are, and nothing else to say about this other than I really like it, and it'd be cool to see what it's like inside. Oh, and I should take this other little door out too. Oh, you know, I should take a picture of that as well. Remind me to do that when I get the screws back in. I don't want that picture on the website as if the manufacturing forgot to put screws in. No screws on the sides. This seems to be separating. I'm just being very careful. I don't want to break anything. Definitely got to take a picture of the bottom, though. That is pretty cool. Let's see. The caffeine kit, I don't think that counted the dock as well. I think Taki's keeping everybody in the loop about that, but I think that's just separate. Yes, the feet cover the 4 screws. Okay, thank you. So once again, anybody want to buy the original DE10 from me? I got an extra one that I got to buy, or I got to sell with the good 24-bit MiSTer add-ons board. Oh, I forgot to test that here too. Well, I guess I could do that real quick after. Are they the same screws? Yeah, now that's somebody that's done manufacturing before. That's one of the things that used to drive me crazy that I'm so proud of in our last company, was that every time we made something, we made sure to reuse the same amount of screws as much as possible and to try to make it really obvious when it wasn't. So we ended up using the shortest screws possible on as much as we could. It makes everybody's life easier. Oh, and there's dips in here too, huh? Well, that's cool. All right, let me make sure. Oh, not to screw up the feet. Let me make sure you all can see this as well as I can. So, back up a bit. So that is the extra connector that goes to the bottom. That's connected with the flex cable. That's pretty cool. Here is everything else. So this apparently is an expansion adapter that has a battery for the real-time clock, and I guess probably didn't ship with a battery for international shipping reasons. And that just pops right off. So you could add the battery right in that if you wanted to. There's warm reset and cold reset buttons on the board. Must be for development for people who run it with the top off. Oh, and I found the dip switch stuff. Let me snap a picture of that and show it to you all as well. Make sure that came out good. Okay, so closest to the component video ports, sync on green, off or on. Then mode is FPGA or EXT. Then it's FPGA Luma, PAL or NTSC, and region, PAL or NTSC. So that gives you full control over everything. That is cool. Yeah, that's very cool. Okay. Let me snap a picture of the board here. I think the best way, sorry everybody, just fat elbow coming in, or shoulder or whatever. Okay, I'll send that to my PC and make sure those came out okay. And we're here, and I got a little extra time, so maybe we open it up and see the bottom of the board too. Oh, Techie Housewife, if there was an affiliate code, I would use it. That's how I barely make it, is with affiliate codes. So, but nope, there isn't, and I will never not talk about a product because there isn't an affiliate link. That is like a hard stance of mine. I talk about the products that I want to talk about, period, end of story. If there is an affiliate link, you bet your ass I'm going to put it up here. But if there isn't, that doesn't matter at all. I still talk about it just like I would if there was a big one. But yeah, those are that and Patreon support are what barely keeps this going, and a lot of luck in every free moment of my existence. But I like this stuff, so is there anything we need to see on the bottom? I mean, let me pull it off anyway, but I don't think we're gonna have any surprises here. Now let's play that how many screws are going to be left over when we're done game. Okay, so those are with flex cables. This is with a flex cable as well. Interesting choice. I like it. What else we got to hold it all in place? All right, let me take this. I could leave in. These I'm going to pop out just because I don't want the weight of them yanking on anything. That's light enough where it wouldn't matter, I don't think. And that's the antennas. Did you know it has Wi-Fi built in? Oh, what a moron I am sometimes. Whatever. Anybody that pretends to have all the answers is blatantly lying to you. Let me grab. Yeah, I do agree. It is a nice looking board. Is it possible to make a cord that could play DVDs? It is possible, but it's actually pretty complicated. And I think most people haven't spent the time because there's so many other ways to play DVDs, including just like a Pi and Kodi. So I don't blame anybody for not spending the time on that, but I do think it would be really cool. I also think it'd be cool for preservation reasons too. That way you could have a hardware backup of what DVDs are like. I also don't know what these dip switches are. This one has covers on it, and this one is exposed. I'm not going to start flipping them because if they're inside, it's probably not meant for us to mess around with, but I am going to take an extra detailed picture of it just in case. Zoom in and make sure. Yeah, all right. SD and flash is what it says. Huh. That's got to be for manufacturing and development reasons. Taki, if you're still in the chat, you're welcome to let us know what these are. I get the impression that's not for customers to mess with. All right, the first screw that's different is very obvious. That's great. And then we have these silver screws, just two. But all the rest of them have been the same exact screw, which is so much easier for manufacturing and repair and working on them. Now I'm going to be super, super careful with this because I don't want to yank out the antennas. This is not mine, although I will be buying one now. Hey, what's up, Beast? Yeah, you want it. You definitely want it. There's the MPEG 2 core that you just mentioned. Are you talking about the one for the CDI? All right, very careful as to not mess with that. Ah! That's cool. right, let me snap a pic, and then I'll put this thing together, and then we could all see if I screwed it up or if I actually got it back together correct. It's funny, even though I'm in a light box, to prevent the shadow from my phone, I have to use another light. I don't know if Taki's still here. I think it's very, very late where they are, but yeah, Taki stopped in before and answered a lot of questions, and I don't know. I already liked it and had confidence in it, but I have even more now. All right, just double checking that these last couple of pictures I snapped came out. So I guess I also didn't test the yeah, I guess I also didn't test the full DAC output, so I should do that too if there's time after I put all this together. But that's really something I was waiting for Kuro to test, because while I know how to do it, I'm 95% confident that I'd find out that it's good. The component video output. Yeah, Amiga Vision, that's what I thought. I didn't realize there was an MPEG-2 core. Huh. Incognito, man, yeah, it worked perfect. It just didn't work with the MemCard Pro 2. So maybe 8-bit mods will take a look at that. Does anybody know the snack modules that you can get, the PlayStation snack modules, do those work with the MemCard Pro 2? Does anybody know that? Because if that was the case, then, that's another conversation. But if those don't work with it, then... Because I guess if you could buy, like, from a MiSTer vendor, if you can go buy one of the PlayStation snack modules, plug in the MemCard Pro 2, and it works in every other PlayStation, or every other MiSTer, then that would be something that Taki would have to look into. But if it doesn't work through that, then it's kind of on 8-bit mods, I guess. Which I'm sure they're both going to look into it, but, All right, I got those back in. Oh, they do? Okay. Oh, all right, that's right. I think Thanos might have mentioned that to me too. So they do actually work on others. So, all right, that's just something that, that's just something Taki will have to look into. And I'm not mad at that at all. Wait, were there screws in here, or was that... Wait a minute. I just saw what I'm doing. I'm going to put this in the camera so y'all... I'm going to put the camera at an angle, and then I'll put this back so y'all can see the mistake I just made. Yeah. That goes like that. All right. See? But that's the type of manufacturing attention to detail I'm talking about. The same length screw is for everything, and so you position it on top of that, which gives you the space that you need. That's exactly the type of stuff I appreciate very much. And I wasn't really smart enough to figure all of that out. I just worked with people who did, which is why it got burned into my brain. So that's certainly not me bragging. Well, I guess it is. It's me bragging that I used to work with super, super smart people at that last company. I still do work with super smart people, but... I'm going to mail those cables to Steve. I don't even think I'm going to tell him. I think I'm just going to mail it to him and be like, these stopped working. This is a warranty replacement just to bust his chops. All right. So I could put this back and let me. So there were 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. All right, so they were actually done with all the motherboard screws. Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Yep, okay. And I have to take pictures of the bottom with the port off. And then I guess I could just verify 24-bit because I wanted to power this thing on again to make sure I actually put it back together correctly. But I don't think I'm going to need to do any more of the DAC analysis. I guess, yeah, you know what? Component video out. I could check that as well. But that's a couple of minutes. That's not going to be a long thing. So if you all have something better to do, you could drop off anytime, although it's always worth seeing if I put it together correctly and if it boots up or not. I think this is where YouTubers are supposed to say like and subscribe or some crap like that, but y'all do whatever you want. I'm not busting your chops. Okay. So I guess another thing worth noting is I like how tight the micro SD slot is. You could get your fingernail in there. It's not like a Terra Onion product where you need alien hands or a poker, but it's very thin, so you're not going to accidentally drop the micro SD into it. I like that a lot. I think that's cool, and I think a lot of the hobby projects that I use don't do that, and you end up dropping the micro SD in all the time. All right, got those feet stuck in back. Do it this way. I'm trying to keep that in to look nice enough in the picture, but eh. Do I know if the jumper pins are set by default? So there's no snack port on this. That's for the dock. So that's why you wouldn't have to worry about it. I don't know what those other dip switches on the inside were, but I'll put a picture up in the post just to show people. All right. You know what? I was about to say I'm not even going to fold this up because I don't want to waste everybody's time. But since half jokingly I said this is also going to be a white box review stream now, here's how you put it back. Fold this up. Fold that up. Pull either side. Or both sides. That's it. This was one of the first RetroRGB moments where I bought something and then just felt like a total moron idiot after I started using it, because I just started thinking, if I added up how many hours I spent total over the year I had the other one, unboxing, reboxing, plugging in, running wires, twisting twist ties, it's hours of my life was gone compared to this thing. And so yeah, this is a SuperStation One / white box stream. All right, grab this back down. And let's try. It's on, yes, these front ports are snack right here. but it's PlayStation only. So you, unless somebody comes up with a module to convert other consoles to, which I actually would love to see that, even if it's SuperStation only, I would love to see that. But unless somebody does that, then no, you're gonna have to wait until the dock comes for that. But I would have no problem with this whatsoever if that's how I had to, get those in. And I do understand that doing that might mean somebody's going to try to plug that into an original console. So seeing how nice this 3D printed, or not, sorry, this non 3D printed, this injection molded shell is, seeing how nice it is, I'd be willing to bet that Taki's team could make very nice over molded or injection molded cases that just say SuperStation One, not for use with original consoles. And I would absolutely spend $20 a piece. Be nicer if they were $10, but on converters that allow you to use, Genesis, Super Nintendo, whatever on there. All right, plugging this back in. And all right, what am I missing? That's plugged in. That's plugged in. SD card's plugged in. I'm missing the USB dongle for my keyboard. Anybody see where I put that? If not, I'm going to find that in a week when I'm kicking around and going, well, where did this come from? Maybe I don't need it. I don't understand the need for the SuperStation. Isn't it just a MiSTer Pi with a fancy case, but with worse snack ports? That's the strangest, most out-of-touch take on this I've ever seen. I'm sorry to mock you in the chat, but this is everything you need in one package that comes pre-configured with absolutely everything you could do for less than what it would cost to buy just a DE10 Nano. So I don't understand what you're not getting on this one, but if I'm missing something, let me know. I'm often the problem here, so. All right, found it. So I'm not getting signal, but was it because of a dip switch that I flipped? Was it because of a setting on my monitor? Already so many variables here. Let me grab a HDMI cable and just check the HDMI out. More people with audio issues? That's so weird. All right, so I'm getting like an HDMI logo on the on my HDMI output. So let me plug in the micro SD card and try again. Now, Papa Rick, I think I did break it. And no, now it's working fine. So why am I not getting RGB output? What button did I press? Oh, no, now it's just working. All right. Well, so I guess the last two things that I want to test is component video, which I forgot to test before like a moron, and 24-bit. So I think I'm going to do component video first, but can everybody in the chat remind me what's a great game to test this with? Because there are games that you immediately upon booting, doesn't matter if you're using CRT or like a PVM or a consumer CRT, you're just going to know immediately. So anybody remember what a great game to test that would be? And I will do component video next just to see. So, because right now, this comes pre-configured, so you should just be able to select YPBPR. Actually, you know what? We're going to get even weirder. What the hell? This is a long stream anyway, and I like doing this stuff. So I don't want to use a PVM for this because PVMs are too forgiving. I want to use that. Let's get this sucker out. This is another shout out to Andy. Consumer grade CRT that has component video inputs. Let me... Okay, plug that in. I'm also going to have to grab a backup set of HD Retrovisions because I have so many of them it doesn't really matter. Yeah, got another one right here. Mick Kids, what core is that one? I forgot. I'm gonna leave myself notes. Crash Bandicoot on what? N64, right? Or sorry, I'm doing 3 things at once, so I apologize if I'm getting all of that stuff wrong. RetroRGB, the NES game, love it. All right, Zoiks, let me try to step back and explain it differently. If you're looking for functionality and you want HDMI output, and that's it. So you don't care about snack, you don't care about analog video. All you care about is, and I mean this in a really nice way, if all you care about is just get me my MiSTer on my flat panel, I'll bury the DE10 Nano or clone behind something else and nothing else matters, then you're right. That's all this is. But in the opposite context, you want analog video output options. This has all of them built in. No adapters, nothing hanging out, no pigtails, no science project. So you're right. I apologize. You're right from that point of view. Absolutely. But that's not what this is about. This is about buying something that looks and feels like a console with every option you could imagine, with a CD-ROM drive coming soon too. So I apologize. You're right. There's more than one way to look at this, but I'm still super excited as is. Okay. All right, so that looks crazy because it's now just outputting RGB signals, but because Taki has the sync on green always coming out, we at least get a signal. So this is, hold on. Shaky cam warning, everybody. Shaky cam. I'm glad I did this because this is really worth talking about. This is, to Zoink's point here, this is why you would want this extra bit. So let's just say the same scenario. You have a consumer CRT with component video inputs, and you buy this thing and you plug it in. On most other MiSTer setups, you'd have to flip a bunch of dip switches. You'd have to mess with the MiSTer I&I, which is not a bad thing. But in this one, so you plug it in, it looks all weird. So you should be able to just go up here, select YPBPR, and ooh, okay, maybe not. So maybe this is where the dips come in. All right, I'm interested to see where this goes. So I flipped up the first dip that's closest to the component video output port. Color bars look good. So that's using the MiSTer method to change to component video. But I'm interested to see, is that what's absolutely required? Because I still like that it boots to the point where you could see it. I think that's great. But let's see. So now when you reboot, that's a soft reboot. What about a hard reboot? Power off. Okay, so powering back on, it defaults to the previous MiSTer INI file. I'm going to flip that dip switch back, and I wonder if there's any other way to configure it. I do like that you at least get something out of it here, so you know what to expect. But let me just double check those dip switch settings and kind of go everywhere else with it. Ori, the dock won't have SCART, but you don't need it because it's got the Saturn port on this, and it's got the VGA port, so you could just connect either one of those cables. Papa Rick, great question. If they use an HDMI port and use CRT filters, do I have to turn those off when they use an actual CRT? Yeah. If you're using direct video, yes. If you're using the analog I/O board output or any of these ports on like this one, no. Amiga Vision, that's funny. All right, where's that picture? So let me try toggling this. So if that's what's needed for component video, I'm still completely happy with this, by the way. I want to confirm. So that's flipping the dip switch for that. I'm messing with dip switches now, by the way, everybody. Okay, so I think for component video, what you have to do is you do still have to set the MiSTer INI. I'll follow up with Taki to double check. By the way, that's the screensaver. That's not. Interesting. CVBS YC cores. I don't think that's actually needed at all anymore. I think Taki could just remove that from the menu. I mean, not that that's a bad thing or anything, but... Go back to SNES. Oh, and I'll try NTSC and PAL again just for the heck of it. Color, we'll go into SMPTE color bars, and let's just flip some region switches. So the first one didn't do anything because I think that's for... Oh, those region switches aren't going to do anything because now it's using the... It's using the MiSTer. All right, so I'm wondering if there's any easier way to get component video. I'll definitely message Taki about this, and I'll double check the installation guide because everything else on this is so simple that worst case, just using the standard MiSTer procedure of getting, the MiSTer INI file set, it's still great. It's still going to work perfect. But I had assumed this would have been a little easier, so I might very well be missing something. Yep, Angry Ghost, same stuff. All right, let me. Where's that manual, I guess? Yeah, I don't see anything about component video. So I'll follow up with that and see. But I mean, this thing's 100% of a win either way. I'm assuming that there's more to it. Um, so I'm gonna do a hard restart again just to see. I want to do one last component test, and then we'll do a 24-bit DAC test. Maybe it's a menu thing. Oh, I hit the wrong one. All right. Well, I'm going to actually test the PVM with this real quick to see. I'm not going to bother changing the camera around because this is going to be a 10-second thing. I'll show everybody if it's if I show it or if I'm able to see anything relevant, and then we'll do the 24-bit DAC test. And somebody else had a game they wanted me to just try just to see out of curiosity, and then we'll call it. But this has been great. It's going to take a while for me to do the post, so expect it by tomorrow night. But yeah, this is great. This is really great. Yeah, so it's doing the same thing on my PVM. So nothing yeah, nothing weird or different. Which is totally fine. I just have to confirm with Taki then if I'm missing something or if people have to manually flip it over. It's just kind of surprising because I mean, I guess it could go both ways. You could look at it as, well, people could then use the component video's RCA jack, the red, green, and blue jacks in a composite video to get RGBS, and that's totally fair. But it just seems like Taki put so much effort into making the rest of this so simple that this would be too. Switching that over, flipping the dip. All right. So NES McKids, just a weird one to try. Oh wait, I'm gonna need to. Wait, McKids was Japan only, right? Or was it not? Am I missing something here? Oh, there it is. Okay, it has the dots next to it. Sorry. Yep. Thanks, everybody. That seems to work. Maybe you just had a funky ROM? Just for the record, I'm also outputting this HDMI over to my capture card, which you can't see, but it just, um, you know, dual output still working fine. All right, so there was an N64 game that was like very easy to tell, if I remember correctly, that if you had a 24-bit DAC or not. Wait, no, it was a PlayStation as well. Oh, I think the PlayStation one was the where it was easier. Let's see. Anybody remember which one? Isn't it like all of them with the PlayStation? Oh, no, no, wrong button. Render 24-bit. Okay. So let's wait for the game to boot, and I should be able to power it up. And that's it, right? Nothing else? Odyssey, I think you're right, but you know, just figured we're here. Been doing it for almost 3 hours. What's another 2 minutes gonna take? Four-bit on. Yeah, that works. And I think if I turn it off, yeah, okay. You could do you I don't know if it's coming across on screen, but there's these horizontal lines. Let me. Yep, it looks funky. And then render 24-bit on, and that looks good. So it's definitely a 24-bit DAC. I'll let Kuro do the double checking, but I can't imagine that we're going to find a problem with this at all. The only problem here is just my camera not syncing to NTSC that well. So you know what? I'll end it with the camera on the SuperStation. Any other questions as I wrap this up? Because I think we've done everything, and I think it all just exactly as we would hope. This is now my go-to recommendation. Once it's in, actually, I should rephrase that. I don't mean any disrespect by saying this, but once it's in stock, it's going to be my go-to. Unfortunately, until it's in stock, my go-to is anything anybody can get their hands on, including an original DE10 Nano with I/O board. If anybody wants to buy that, I still need to sell that and fund other stuff. Just close this up and then I'll check the chat. The resolution switching, is there a way to disable the OSD when it does that? I don't think so. Maybe. I don't think so. For power, is it a power brick? It comes with a USB cable, but you have to get your own charger. And I was using a USB-C charger that I got, like a Raspberry Pi 5 approved one. I wouldn't skimp there. In fact, I mean, you'll always hear me give the same advice with power. Don't skimp. Don't ever, ever, ever buy those crappy bricks for like $8 on eBay or Amazon or AliExpress for any device ever. Just get a good name brand tablet power brick and you should be fine. But don't cheap out, because power is the silent killer. But yeah, I used the CanaKit one, but anything decent's fine. If it could charge a tablet properly, you're good. Use the cable Taki shipped it with, unless it's, a good cable. That's something I ranted about in tomorrow's podcast. You'd have no idea how many times in the past couple of months I've tested USB cables that did not perform even close to their specs. I tested one that was supposed to be a 10 gigabit, it was a 10 gigabit per second cable that didn't even go to USB 3 speeds. It was locked at USB 2. And as you all know from watching these streams, when stuff like that happens, I just assume it's my setup. So I triple and quadruple check everything, and that wasn't my setup. That cable just sucked. There was a couple of them like that. Most of them were USB 3 that ran at USB 2, but they were all still terrible. So I'll check the chat for any other questions, but I think I'm basically done here. If everything would be in stock, would I prefer this or the multi-system 2? I'm a fan of the multi-system 2. I am not talking crap to the team, but I would definitely prefer this. It's awesome. It works exactly as I would hoped. It has every option that I would want on it. The analog video outputs are top tier, and it's very well priced. Wonder if the PS1, PS2 Bluetooth adapter will reduce lag compared to connecting a controller via Bluetooth alone. My guess is no, because the MiSTer devs have really tried hard to utilize the lowest latency modes of the Bluetooth stack. And if you connect something like a PS5 controller, I bet you it's going to work really well. But I guess we'd have to see to really test. It does not require USB PD. Just don't get a crappy one. It would run off of it, just like the USB PD standard shows, but it doesn't require it. Angry Ghost reminds me of going through a whole drawer of cables just to get Apple CarPlay to work. Yeah. Derek, could you explain that? Because that doesn't really make sense at all. Yep, Sasquatch in time. It'll be up permanently. Everything, and this will be summarized in a post on the website probably tomorrow night. I got a gazillion things I got to get done. But yeah. Battery bank powered. I mean, if it's putting out the correct amperage, absolutely that would work. But it would be the same as everything like that. So any battery bank adapter for any high-powered device, like Raspberry Pi, this, whatever else. What happens if you connect multiple analog outputs at once? Everything works at the same time. Completely safe. The only thing is you can't have, I'm 99% sure you can't have like the VGA port outputting RGB and the component ports outputting component. That wouldn't work. RGB and component needs to be uniform, but the rest of them should be fine. Restart point, you know, maybe it's just not understanding, but what I found, the reason I get harsh with my responses sometimes is what I found is a lot of people, rather than just saying, oh man, maybe I should have bought this, they get mad at it because they didn't, and they blame everybody else, and they get angry, and it's like, you know, I don't appreciate that. But as you saw today, sometimes I get that wrong, but whatever. I feel like the amount of crap I get in the comments all day, every day, allows me to be wrong every once in a while. Checking for the last couple of comments, but I think that's it. I think I'm pretty much going to call it. This was awesome. This thing is really cool. Uh, BY22, yeah, I believe this is a dual output, either analog audio or optical digital audio port. But if not, then you have those analog ports. You could just get a cheap Saturn if you're using like. Wow, this thing popped out. Yeah, this is my literally only complaint about this thing is the side piece pops out and doesn't stay back into place. But that's not something most people are going to worry about. But like you could even use this for analog video and pull that out if you wanted to run it out of the back. That way you also have the ports over here. You have lots of audio choices. You know, now I'm going to need to grab some tweezers and put that back into place. My OCD is not going to allow that. I can't ship that to my friend with a little stupid thing popping out. All right, well, this is pretty awesome. Thank you all. You all rule. I appreciate it. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for hanging out. This one's a huge win. Adrian, that's you're going to require the dock, which has the snack port. I guess you could call that a negative of this, that you require another piece of hardware for the snack port, I guess. And that would absolutely be a reason why you might not want this. But I don't know. I'd like to see. I'm going to hold off any reservations on snack stuff until I see the dock, because I think everything else about this is really cool. But you know what? I am going to add that to my very small list of complaints, which I don't think is going to bother most people. So, all right.